Welcome to the danger zone. Everybody's talking about.
Tweets censored.
No, we might make some mistakes.
When he took over X, he made a bunch of statements saying he's going to change everything. Global leader of the World Economic Forum. It was planned like a movie. We've been lied to our whole lives about everything.
You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Nationalism versus globalism. The victors write the history books. There's two sides of every story. Maybe we should have a discussion about it. Who are these globalists? Who are the ones in charge? Who's running the media, the news outlets, Illuminati, Hollywood, these demons? Predictive programming. History books lie. Revealed as truth later. Idiocracy literally is like a documentary. It's in front of our faces, breaking out of the matrix.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Danger Zone. And tonight, everybody, we're going to be talking about the Bermuda Triangle. See, I've heard about this all the time when I was in school. And, people would come up with different stories. And for the longest time, I actually didn't believe him. I was like, you're crazy. What is this? Is this just some kind of folktale, some kind of like myth that's just been carried over time? And then you look more into it and you realize that there is a deep, confusing mystery going on out there. And the longest time I didn't even know where this was located. I thought it was just like the whole entire sea at one point. I was a kid. I was very naive. I was like, what? Just going out into sea? I was like, what's going on? But there is one chilling fact that I've uncovered in the research that I've done, and that it's that over 1,000 lives have been lost just in the Bermuda Triangle. And over more than 50, you heard that right, 50 ships have disappeared. On top of that, not just 50 ships, 20 aircrafts vanished since the 19th century. Just the 19th century. I don't even know if I haven't really done much research farther back than that, but I don't know. This could be going on for a very long time. We're going to go over different stuff. We're going to tell some stories of our own if we ever heard any, some theories, some facts, and we'll hopefully get some of y'all's reaction if y'all join us today on the live. But if you're rewatching, hit comments down on the Rumble, hit comments down on X, and on YouTube. I believe I'm on YouTube and Twitch. So yeah, we're going to go into it. First, we're going to talk about what is the Bermuda Triangle. I believe it's like 500,000 to 1.5 million square miles. It's like between Miami, Bermuda, and San Jose, Puerto Rico. There we go, Puerto Rico, which is a territory of the United States. So it's really weird, especially when it comes to the United States. And just to drop right now, we have a new pope, and he's the first American pope. That's pretty crazy too. Just dropping that out for right now. But there's history of that. Let's see. I think the actual term of Bermuda Triangle was coined by the writer Vincent Gaddis in 1964. In a magazine article. So ever since 1964, they've been calling it the Bermuda Triangle. And I believe it's probably because it shows like a little triangle from the sea and all that stuff. But we can go over some incidents. There's one in particular that really stood out to me. And that was because it involved the U.S. Navy. It was a group of 5 U.S. Navy Avenger torpedo bombers carrying 14 men disappeared during a routine training mission. The planes vanished after the leading pilot reported compass malfunctions, and a rescue plane sent after them also disappeared, claiming another 13 lives. So not only did the first plane go away, but the rescue plane disappeared as well. No wreckage was ever found. Like that, like more often than not, like that's always finds me really, really strange when aircrafts go missing and then none of the wreckage is ever found. Like, were they abducted? Like, people talk about that. Are there aliens? Are there like some kind of whirlpool? Or just like underground military bases? Like, it could go on and on. Like,
I think that was the same case with like what's her name, Amelia Earhart. I don't think they ever found like her airplane either.
That was like I was going to talk about that too, because I don't know if that was ever near Bermuda, but like I know she was going. I don't know her particular route. That could be a video in itself because I've always been astonished by that as well. Her story, because that is a mystery as well. Mm-hmm. But I was going to ask you personally, what do you believe about the Bermuda Triangle? What rumors have you heard? What stuff and stories that really stuck out to you, and what do you feel about it?
I've kind of heard the same thing. I've never personally known anybody that's, had relation to, the Bermuda Triangle or anything like that. But, I've always heard reports of, if you go towards that direction that, that there's a good possibility, that you're never going to be seen again. So I know there's a lot of people that have went out of their way to, go a different direction or just avoid it altogether because, you never know what happens. I don't know if it has to do something with like the weather. Maybe it's like a giant whirlpool or something that
Yeah, we're
that just send people through the bottom, and then it just I
Yeah,
don't
we're going
know.
to get into that later because there are some recent research. I think a few years ago, about 10 years ago, that they did that did say there has something to do with a lot of weathers and like stuff that happens over there. But one of the main things that I think whenever I think of the Bermuda Triangle is exactly what they said about that flight. That flight also was in 1945. It was Flight 19, that one I was talking about. But it was the fact that the compass was going crazy. And that was
Oh
one of the
yeah.
things I've always seen in like movies where they show you like when the compass is going out of whack or some kind of electric force or something's happening. And I'm like that, like a lot of people think that's like paranormal, like just for it to go. But there is some scientific to that too. There's like magnetic stuff, and I'm not a scientist or anything like that, or I know nothing about that. I barely passed high school, so there wasn't also another incident prior to that in 1918, and also involved the U.S. Navy. It was a U.S. Navy ship, and it was carrying over 306 crew members and passengers. It vanished without a distress signal while sailing from Barbados to Baltimore. It remains one of the largest non combat losses of life in the U.S. Navy history, with no trace ever recovered. And that's crazy in itself, that fact. That's pretty crazy. Like, we need, I just, what I thought of as like all the research we have now, but at the same time, like, no one can go out there because if you go out there, you don't come back. It's like one of those things is like, how can we investigate something where if you go there, you're putting your life in danger? And like a lot of people do that with certain things, they're willing to risk their lives for science, but they never come back. So we never get that scientific facts. I could share a map of it. I don't have an actual map saved,
I think
but
is it the same case with like the Marianas Trench?
yeah, I believe it's close. It's close by there, isn't it? I could be wrong. I don't know if it's close by the Marianas
Yeah,
Trench.
I'm not too sure where exactly that's located, but I know that there's at least I've heard before that people have tried to go all the way down, and then it's either the pressure's too great or they're just you just don't see them again.
Yeah. Now we're going to go over some of the popular conspiracy theories. There's about four of them. I know, right? You're thinking they're like, well, it's just one, right? Now there's numerous ones. So one of the most famous ones, of course, everybody likes to go here, is aliens. There are report of UFO sightings in the region, with some claiming extraterrestrial abducted ships and planes, saying that they were just abducted by aliens, and that just seems to be an alien hub. But I think if there's aliens, all over the place, I don't know if they'd pick one place. The few places I think they would pick would be the Bermuda Triangle and then Antarctica, because a lot of people say there's a lot of strange things that happens with Antarctica, and some
Hmm.
people think it's like a military like thing, and it's possible. Stuff I've heard about Antarctica, and it's not trying to turn it into an Antarctica episode, but there are crazy things with Antarctica. I think people should research Antarctica like right away. So that's the first theory is aliens. Everyone goes to aliens. It's the aliens. Area 51, like aliens that
It
got
reminds me,
them.
it reminds me of that meme where like that dude is like
Yeah, with
aliens.
the crazy hair, he's like aliens. And then the second one is possibility of a time warp or portal. Like that's some
Mm.
extra shit. Like a 1970 incident where a pilot claimed this was an incident that happened in the Bermuda Triangle, where he claimed to arrive 30 minutes earlier after flying through a strange cloud, suggesting time distortion. I mean, it's a possibility. 30 minutes, you can lose track of time easily and be like, "Oh yeah, I arrived 30 minutes earlier." But so that's just hearsay. But there are cool theories. That's why we're here on the conspiracy theory show. We hit the danger spot. A lot of people don't like us talking about some of this stuff. We tiptoe into some crazy stuff. And here's my personal favorite: government cover-ups, secrets, theories of secret U.S. military tests, like the AUTEC, which is an Atlantic Undersea Test in a Evaluation Center, or hidden underwater bases, basically. And I'm pretty sure they're out there. I don't know much about water. I don't hate water, but I'm not a very strong swimmer. So if you
Yeah,
ever want
me
to
either.
kill me, if you ever want to kill me, I'm telling you right now. If you ever want to kill me, just throw me off a boat. I will just drown. I mean, I can swim now, but it's just like after a while, I'm just like I can't, and I'm done.
Yeah,
Done for. But that's one of my favorites. Underground military bases. Everybody loves that theory.
like
Uh,
that TV show. Was it Sea Lab 2020?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then there's also another one which is interesting. It's the Atlantis connection. Speculations that lost cities, energy
Oh,
crystals, disruptive navigation, or causing vanishes. They're saying that lost city energy crystals, some kind of. I don't know
hmm.
much about that kind of stuff. The only closest thing I know to Atlantis is that Disney movie, which is really awesome. So every time I think of that, I just assume that's like what everyone's talking about. They're like, "Oh, Atlantis, some energy crystal, got it, okay."
There's like people underwater with tridents and shit like that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, I don't know if I believe that, but it's a good theory, I guess, to throw out there. There's actually, there's this one is like the most probably not possible, or like I don't even know why we're talking about it, but sea monsters, like claims of giant
Like
creatures. I
like
mean, like
the like the
people
Kraken
believe
or
it.
something like that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like people believe in the Loch Ness monster, and that whole thing. Where I think it was staged, most of it, the Loch Ness
Yeah,
monster.
I think they actually did come out where like that dude,
Yeah,
he whoever like took that picture, he said that he was basically trying to just to gain like popularity out of it or something.
yeah, and then also magnetic anomalies, like just magnetic, like methane gas and eruptions, sinking ships, and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, what I think what everybody else thinks. I'm gonna probably pull poll out on my Twitter because I know Twitter does a very good job with the polls, and not a lot of people tune in for the live. Sometimes they do watch the re-shows because I get a lot of people talk about the show in my DMs a lot. So I do appreciate everyone being here. I appreciate you coming in for the rewatch. If you're not here live, that's cool. We have a few people here, a few people on Twitch right now, which is pretty cool. I found that Twitch is a really good platform for some things, as long as you're not talking about a certain country. Uh, we're all going to try to counter those theories. What I mean by that was we're going to try to look at it from a different angle, which most people do is scientifically. So, like you said, there might be whirlpools, and like economic factors, like the Gulf Stream, strong currents, frequent hurricanes, and rogue waves up to 100 feet high can overwhelm vessels and take in ships. But
Hmm.
uh, it takes a lot, And again, when that comes up with the government still, because the government can control weather, and what I mean by that, I don't mean like, oh, they're like, like like thunder, the weather comes out of their hands and they're controlling it. I'm like, no, they work with technology to. I mean, there's literally a video of them creating clouds that cause it to rain. So to tell me that and then they had Operation, what is it? Damn it, I forgot the name of it. Circus or Cirrus, so CIRUS, where they dropped a bunch of, I believe, I don't remember what it was. It was like some kind
Yeah.
of
Are you talking about
essence.
those like those chemtrails?
I mean, no, it's sort of like chemtrails, but no, it was an experiment back in the. I talked about it on the hurricane episode we did, because people
Hmm.
didn't believe that they were the government was working on how to direct hurricanes away. They were actually, it's one of those instances where they tried to help people, and they were trying to steer a hurricane back in the 40s, I believe, to go a new direction so it wouldn't hit or impact. And what happened, it did the complete opposite, and it headed straight into a place, and it ended up causing a lot of damage. And the government almost got sued for it, and they shut down the program. But I think whenever a government shuts down a program, it just means they hide it and they push it to the corner, kind of like with MK Ultra and stuff. And also, it could be human error, but I don't know. That's just too many coincidences and too many deaths to
Yeah,
happen.
like a thousand. You know.
Yeah, to be human error, like so poor navigation, outdated equipment, or pilot disorientation in stormy conditions. I mean, it's possible. I've never flown a plane before. I've never driven a ship, so I don't know if you can get disoriented in storms before. I would hate to be in that position. In period, I hate driving big cars when I was delivering things, and like, it wasn't an 18-wheeler, but it was like a big truck carrying lumber and stuff. I hated driving it because I was afraid everything was going to fall out like Final Destination style and take out people, and so as well as I just didn't want to be responsible for that stuff. So I really commend like a lot of those people that are in that position because they've taken on a big risk. Again, we're
Mhm.
going to talk about the magnetic anomalies. The triangle includes areas where true north and magnetic north align, potentially confusing compasses. So that's why the compasses go crazy.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because there's some stuff where like magnets are crazy, dude. Because like especially when I was messing with some the other day, like when you're trying to keep them together and then like the opposite forces and you're fighting them, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I wonder if that's what happens. when they go to the Bermuda Triangle, and then stuff like that happens, and it just takes the ship straight down, or wherever the magnet is, or wherever the magnetic energy is. But to not have any like recovery of the ship, I mean, it is a big area of the sea, and again, no one can go recover the stuff because if they do, they end up dead. Here's what I want to bring up the recent findings. So in 2016, discovery of hexagonal cloud patterns that may create air bombs with winds up to 170 miles per hour, methane gas bubbles that reduce water density, sinking ships. But that was just for the sinking ships. But also, I mean, air bubbles. That's crazy that you can have air bubbles with winds up to 170 miles per hour.
Mhm.
And so that could be causing the ships to go and sink. And so there's stuff like that. And then people will say, global warming is affecting that. But I'm like, this has been happening for fucking like since the 19th century, guys. And the weather's constantly changing. Doesn't mean like, we're going to die. Remember Al Gore said we were going to be dead by now or something. And I'm like, yo, we're still alive. But yeah,
And Back to the Future said that we'd have flying cars by now, but I see
yeah,
that
for real.
happening.
Oh man, I was watching. I don't know if I was watching Back to the Future, but I found some kind of toy that was Back to the Future, and I thought of you, and I was like, "Hey, this is pretty cool." But it had none of the characters. It had like a dog. It had the train from the Back to the Future 3, but it had like a dog in it, and I was like, "How is this Back to the Future?" And I looked at it, and it was McDonald's, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense."
Well, the
McDonald's.
only dog that was in there was Einstein, but I don't
It
think.
looked more like a Pluto or like some other dog. It didn't look like the Einstein from there. But
Um,
it said on the bottom of it, it said Back to the Future, and it had 1990 like one or 92 or something. I don't.
hmm.
And it said McDonald's on it. So I get a lot of McDonald's toys that I find at like estate sales and garage sales. But I do want to know y'all's theories and reactions if there's anybody here. But feel free to comment if you're watching what you believe, because I think that the stories are pretty crazy. My personal thing, my personal thoughts are I want to believe that it's something else. I don't want to believe like it's the weather, but then again, I don't know. Like it's one of those things that you really don't know. That's why it's such a mystery, the Bermuda Triangle. Every time anybody mentions it, and what's funny is everybody knows. They're kind of just like, oh yeah, no one goes there. Like you said, like no one goes there. You purposely go around it. It's like, but do we know anything else other than that? They're like, no, you just don't go that way. Just don't go that way. And I'm just like, and there's always that one person that you put a sign up to say, don't touch that button, and then they go, I got to go there, and then they end up like dead, and it's sad, because I'm pretty sure there's some people that have gone like for the trip, just the
That's
trip
like
to
the
go.
same people that they go climb Mount Everest,
Yeah,
and
and then
then
they end up
they end
getting
up
stuck and frozen, and
frozen.
uh,
Yeah, there's like a whole like that could be like a whole nother episode too. But like there's a whole bunch of like dead bodies on Mount Everest that people pass by when every time they climb it.
yeah, but like there's some far fetched stuff. Like the most far fetched ones I don't believe is probably the Atlantic. Like I've never really been one for the Atlantic thing. Like I
Yeah, I mean, if there is a lost city, like I don't
I
know.
don't
I
think
mean,
it's affecting the area. You know what I mean? That's just me. If there is a lost city, but I don't think it's actively affecting like the area around it. I could be
yeah,
wrong, but that's just my take. And I'm trying to see what's possible, what's not. Like so far, as I like think the magnetic anomaly. I always have a problem with that word, anomalies. Or is a very high, like up there in there. That's just some kind of magnetic pull, like you said, or a whirlpool being created because of that, and it's sucking. But I mean, it would have to be a lot because there's taking out ships and it's taking out aircrafts. So it's
hmm.
like not only is it doing it underwater, but it's also getting the planes and having them come down. So I feel like it's more of a gosh, I like it's crazy to think, but I honestly just want to go there just to know. But at the same time, you're not even gonna know though. You'll just be there and you just die, and you're just like, I didn't figure it out at all. I just died. But
Right. But it's weird that out of all the parts in the ocean, why would that specifically be the only place that
yeah, it's very weird. So most often I go to is the government. I'm just like the government doesn't want us going in that area. Maybe like what's there though, and then that's where it
something
goes.
with Area 51?
Exactly. Is it aliens? Like same with Area 51. If you step over there, they can. Remember that whole meetup thing? They did that thing where they could
Yeah.
meet up and whatever, and like they didn't even like go, and like barely. I don't think a lot of the people came, and I think if a big amount of people actually did go, and they actually like came like armed as well, they're like, we're gonna go in there. It might have worked, but didn't. There was an episode where I believe it was a conspiracy theory with Jesse Ventura, where
Hmm.
he went to Area 51 and I think he saw like there was a piece of like the building from 9/11 or something. I don't remember. I want to pull up the episode, but what's funny is when I go to look up for a lot of those episodes, you can't find any more of them anymore. There's a reason why he got canceled.
Yeah, I've noticed that even there was a video I showed to my cousin a long time ago about where it was in slow motion of like the of Building 7 like coming down, and like they slow mode it and zoomed in to where you can see it exploding in
Oh
sections.
yeah, 100%.
But I can't
100.
find that video anymore.
100%. I know it's not a 9/11 episode, but 100% that was a demolition. That especially Building 7, that it was a demolition. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't care if people cancel me. I don't care if they come raid my house. I was like, it was a demolition. Okay, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say I know for a fact who did it. Actually, if you want to go to 9/11, go to
Yeah,
the
you're gonna have to
9/11
watch one of the older
episode.
episodes to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like that was why I got demonetized on X. So that should tell you enough as it is. Because I made that we did a 9/11 episode and then I completely got demonetized. And I did a lot of promotion for that episode because it was near 9/11. It was, I think it was close to 9/11 and I was posting it on 9/11. Either we did it before or I think we did it before 9/11 and then I posted it on 9/11 and then tons of people got pissed. And I'm like, I'm not trying to demean anybody that passed away. People died. I'm not saying anybody didn't die. I was like, it's terrible, but I'm just saying that we're being lied to about what
Yeah,
happened.
people deserve to know the truth.
Exactly, and that's why I bring up the truth for this episode is will we ever know the truth about the Bermuda Triangle? I don't think we will. Just like every other conspiracy or every other anomaly, we never really will ever know the truth. Just like with the Crispin Wall, murders, we'll never know. Like the truth they're telling us, all I know for a fact is that the truth they're telling us about the Crispin Wall story is not true. And the truth they're telling us about the 9/11 story isn't the full truth. And the truth about the Bermuda Triangle, I think they're not telling us. But I mean, like, there's nothing really to tell, I guess, because it's just a mystery. It's just a bunch of people are dying, and everybody that goes over there, ships, planes. I wonder if there's any stories of anybody actually like going and returning from the Bermuda Triangle. I've never actually looked into that.
Well, no, I mean, because I'm pretty sure. Because I mean, in order to fly to either Bermuda or to Puerto Rico, I think you have to go through that triangle, don't you?
I would believe so. Uh,
So, and I mean, I'm pretty sure people travel back and forth there pretty often. So, I don't think like every single person that does, but like I'm pretty sure like the good chunk that have went through there and not came back, like
I'm gonna look up right now. I'm trying to see if there's any survivors of the Bermuda Triangle because that would be really interesting to get like a video of that or even talk to that person. Uh, I'm gonna ask my assistant here, my new lovely assistant, Grok. Call it Grok. Okay, I didn't want images. I hate when it like so I ask it something and it just creates an image for me. Wow, yes, he says survivor stories from the Bermuda Triangle are rare and often steeped in mystery, with many accounts leading into the paranormal or unexplained. Below are a couple of notable survivor stories that align with the Bermuda Triangle's eerie reputation. Okay, so here's one, 1970. This is I guess that one about him, the 30 minutes, I think, him thinking it's a time warp. So his name was Bruce Gurnon. Yeah, time warp experience, 1970. He was a pilot. He flew through the Bermuda Triangle on December 4th, 1990, from Andaros Islands, Bahamas, to Florida, Palm Beach, Florida, a 250-mile trip. He encountered a strange linear cloud that grew into a spiraling tunnel as he flew through it. His instruments malfunctioned and he experienced severe turbulence. Remarkable, he arrived in Miami in just 47 minutes, far too short for the distance, and claimed his plane had traveled 100 miles in seconds. He believes he passed through a time warp or an electronic fog, a phenomenon he later detailed in his book, The Fog. Interesting. So that's one of the first ones, first recount. So the second is called Cloud Boy and the Disappearing Storm in 1999. So in our lifetime, a sailor known as Cloud Boy shared his experience on a sailing form, later recounted in articles and books while sailing through the Bermuda Triangle in 1990. He encountered a sudden violent storm with 80-foot waves and lightning that seemed to target his boat specifically. His navigation equipment failed. He lost radio contact. Just as he braced for disaster, the storm vanished instantly, leaving clear skies and calm waters. Cloudboy also reported a strange magnetic hum and a feeling of being watched during this ordeal. He survived but was left shaken, believing he had encountered a supernatural force. Oh, shoot, man. So we're talking about the devil here? Do you think the devil runs the Bermuda Triangle? I mean, it's possible. Some kind of, or just like, that's just another thing. Like, is there some kind of entity living out there? Like some kind of spiritual, supernatural force that we just don't know? That's kind of crazy. He says that it came and then the weather cleared, like as if like some kind of miracle. Maybe I don't know. Some people go through those experiences and they embrace God as maybe God saved them at the last second. He said, "Not today, Satan." Those are just a few. It's only the actual ones they've given me. They're very few. I want to see if there's any more stories. But the fact that they said there's very few people that stories from survivors, I'm like, that's just it's just eerie in itself to me.
I like how they added it also, like the Bermuda Triangle. They added it into Grand Theft Auto 5 that you can like fly through there.
Oh
But I
yeah,
mean,
did they really? I haven't played Grand Theft
but
Auto
it's a
5 in
game,
a
so
while.
of course you're gonna survive.
All right, so there's more. There's a few more. They only gave me a couple. This was Carrie Gordon. A pilot was flying alone through just a corner of the Bermuda Triangle in 1995 when she experienced. Oh, it was a woman drive. Okay. Experienced a terrifying ordeal. She reported losing control of her airplane. Oh, she probably was just, and no clear explanation. Her instruments went haywire, and she felt an overwhelming sense of disorientation. It sounds like she couldn't determine how much time passed during the incident, but she eventually regained control and landed safely. Her story has since been featured on National Geographic, Discovery Channel, and other networks. She wrote about it in her book, The Bermuda Triangle: A Pathway to Atlantis. So wait, so now she's going to bring up Atlantis? What?
Hmm.
See that? So what? She believes it's something to do with Atlantis. Is that where Atlantis was? Is that so? I don't even know the whole story about Atlantis. Maybe we need to talk about that. What is the story of Atlantis? I know it's about a lost city of some kind of energy crystal, and you said like people. I'm interested now. See, this is crazy. Here's another one. Okay, one more, guys. Okay, well, I think this is one more. Okay, the Ellen Austin's encounter with a ghost ship. Oh goodness, now we got ghost. 1881. This is pretty far back. Okay, so the
Dang.
Ellen Austin, a merchant ship, was sailing from London to New York in 1881 when it encountered an abandoned schooner, which is a sailboat, near the Bermuda Triangle, just north of the Sargasso Sea. Captain Baker observed the derelict for 2 days to ensure it wasn't a trap. Finding no crew but a well-packed ship, he placed a prize crew on the schooner to sail it alongside the Ellen Austin. After 2 days of calm sailing, a sudden squall appeared, separated the ships. When the storm cleared, the schooner had vanished. Days later, Captain Baker spotted it again through his spyglass, drifting aimlessly with no sign of his prize crew. Some accounts suggest that Ellen Austin eventually recovered the schooner, but the prize crew was never found again, fueling speculation of supernatural forces. Whole crew disappeared.
Wow.
1881. So it's like it's really weird. Like, are they taking people, or not just because he said the ship was still there, a ghost ship. So the people were gone, and the other ones, what they just experienced a little bit of stuff here and there. Other people were falling out of the sky and dying. Ships going down. Wow, it's definitely a mystery. I don't even know how to even see. That's one of the things. Like, I don't even have a like what I believe in. It. Like the stories are all over the place. But I think what's the next step I would do is look into Atlantis, whatever that is. I know the story. Everybody knows the story of Atlantis, but I don't. I've never looked into it. I've never been one to go like, let's look deep into Atlantis. All the known or the story, Atlantis, the story. I want to know the original story. Because it may be like, how stories are through time. They get like this. They somehow people keep adding to the story. I want to know. Here it is. So, origins of the Atlantis myth. The story of Atlantis originates from ancient Greek texts by philosopher Plato. Okay, specifically in his dialogues. He describes Atlantis as an advanced utopian civilization that existed 9,000 years before his time, roughly 9,600 BCE. It was powerful naval. Where am I at? It's a powerful naval empire located beyond the Pillars of Hercules. Okay, so it is like Greek mythology kind of thing, commonly interpreted as the Serpent of Galator. According to Plato, Atlantis was blessed by the gods but became corrupt, leading to its downfall. The gods punished. What have I done? Click somewhere. The gods punished the Atlanteans, and the island sank into the sea in a single day and night due to catastrophic earthquakes and floods. Okay, so that makes sense now. So they're saying like this is connected with the Bermuda Triangle, and that's interesting. Okay, leaving no trace. So basically, it starts with Atlantis disappearing down into the sea, and then now all of this stuff happening with the Bermuda Triangle somehow is connected to Atlantis because of it being sunk down into the sea.
Maybe something to do with the technology they had at the time or something.
That's
Or
crazy. It's crazy to think that maybe they did have some advanced technology, and that we're actually not even the most advanced people. It's a possibility. I don't. Do I believe it? I don't know. I don't think
yeah,
so. But
because we still haven't even figured out how they built the pyramids either. That's a whole nother.
yeah, so that is the pyramids itself. Because I've done the research on it. There's no way. There's just no way without some kind of
Yeah, unless
help.
unless like they take it apart brick by brick, then then we're probably never gonna figure out how they actually did it.
Yeah, that is a mystery. We should do one on the pyramids too. That thing that dumbfounded me because I do deep research into stuff. When I did the deep
Yeah,
research,
I love like any like a lot of Egyptian like stuff like that. Like I've done a lot of well not a lot, but like I've done some research about you know during that time, and it's I've always had a big interest in the whole Egyptian thing.
yeah, like I remember hearing the first story about it, and they were describing it, and then like they were like just almost everybody I've looked up and I was talking to, they were just saying it's not physically possible for human beings to do this, and I was like, then what happened? Who did this? What are we? And there's some mysteries in the world that just are crazy.
Or even like Stonehenge, how did they like position them? Like the way they are.
Yeah, those are crazy. Yeah, and how they got to be like that, Bro, so in the 20th century, some researchers and enthusiasts began linking Atlantis to the Bermuda Triangle due to its proximity to the Atlantic Ocean and the mysterious phenomenon in that region. A key proponent of this theory was Edgar Cayce, a mythical and self-proclaimed psychic in the early 1900s. He claimed in his readings that Atlantis was located near Bimini in the Bahamas, within the Bermuda Triangle's boundaries. He predicted that remnants of Atlantis would be discovered in the late 1960s, a prophecy that gained attention when the Benin Road, an underwater structure of large regular limestone blocks, was discovered off the coast of Bamina in 1968. Some believe these blocks are man-made and part of Atlantis' ruins, while skeptics argue they're natural formations. Oh wow! Well, if he did say that, and then stuff was found in the 1960s, that's pretty crazy. That's some kind of psychic ability there. I believe him on that one if that actually happened. The Atlantis theory suggests that the lost city's advanced technology, particularly its rumored energy crystals, could be responsible for the Bermuda Triangle's again anomalies. These crystals, according to legends, were used to harness immense power, but became unstable after Atlantis' fall, sinking into the ocean floor. So these unstable energy fucking crystals just sucked in the whole entire fucking Atlantis, and then now it's just sucking everybody in that comes near it. I mean, that's a theory right there. That's a crazy conspiracy. See, I'm one. You think I'm a conspiracy theorist? That's a crazy theory, but I mean, I'm sitting here reading this and I'm like, that sounds like pretty plausible, maybe. If
Hmm.
there's such thing as energy crystals, I've never dealt with any energy crystals before. I don't
Yeah,
know.
me
I know
neither.
people do that. What's that? Those crystal things, the healing crystals and that kind of stuff. But I
Yeah.
don't. I don't tiptoe into that stuff.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all we got to say about that right now. We're doing a really quick one. We're trying to get off in time for Backlash. For any wrestling fans out there, you know that Backlash is tonight. So we're gonna wrap it up here. Give our last probably 5 minutes piece, and then we'll wrap it up so we can go watch that. So my thing, I'm gonna go right off the bat is I have no idea. It's one of those. I feel like more of these conspiracies I go through, I'm just like my whole mind is just good and like double blown than it was before. The Bermuda Triangle will always be a mystery, and I don't know if I'm ever going to go there. And I wouldn't advise anybody going there or going near it. Never go there. You know anybody that's going to try to go there, tell them stop, seek help, do not go, because you probably are not going to return. There's few people that have, and those are few pilots, and one was a woman, surprisingly. So, you know, maybe you do have a chance if a woman made it through, but just I feel bad. But I'm like, you know, she survived though. Okay, so I'm not making fun of anybody that's dead, so that's okay. But I say, you know, the most likely thing is that there's some kind of magnetic thing going on. I don't know why, but the biggest, coolest, I guess, conspiracy theory to believe is the Atlantis connection and the energy crystals and some kind of force, supernatural force. If you ever watched the Atlantis movie, when she turns into that fucking thing, I don't know what it is. I'm like, that thing is what's controlling the Bermuda Triangle. So I mean, it's a really interesting theory. I don't know what you think about it, but what do you think so far? Anything changes? Anything you believe?
I guess I'm probably going to lean more towards what you're saying too. I mean that's kind of logically that kind of really only thing that makes sense to me. You know, that combined with, you know, maybe like the whirlpool theory that I said.
Yeah,
Um, so I don't know. I mean, like you said, I don't know if we'll ever figure it out, but
yeah. It might
all I
just
can
be
say
like,
is,
you know, because they did say there's a lot of hurricanes and a lot of stuff happens out there. It may just be a certain specific part of the world
yeah,
that
I mean,
just
because
happens.
I know that Florida is known, you know, for getting a lot of hurricanes, so that does make
Yeah.
sense.
So it could be just be like there that section of the Earth is just so active all the time, and then and combined with the extra, you know, magnetic, those air bubble things they said they found and stuff,
Hmm.
all that stuff combined, and with the air and the oxygen and I don't know the science stuff, but there's got to something probably happens a lot more often out there. All I know is that we should avoid it always. No one go out there unless you're like I don't know if you have a death wish, I guess, but other than that, if you're really into Atlantis and you want to find out stuff about that, um, but it is interesting and it's always fun to go and look at these things. And yeah, but so I do recommend people do their own research. We're just two guys chit chatting about a theory of multiple theories and just different topics. But I do indulge in you to do your self research. I barely did. I did probably like 30% research on this. I could dig more into the Atlantis and the accounts. But I'm more interested now in those pyramids. Those pyramids and what else? There's so much. There's so much different theories. Like I said, this show could go on forever because there's always more theories coming up, and there's just constant stuff, and there's things that haven't been talked about. I mean, like the fact that Marilyn Monroe maybe been murdered instead of killed herself. There's tons of stuff. Who was behind the JFK killings? We already did that. Where my episode wasn't even that good because I wasn't really red pilled on the situation at the time, so I may have to account that one and team it up with his brother's murder as well. There's so much research on different topics that we could do. But that's our 2 cents. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. It's going to be a short one today. Like I said, we're tuning out so we can go watch some wrestling. I'm not a biggest wrestling fan, but as of lately, but I'm nostalgic for it. So anytime I see anybody I used to watch wrestle, I love it. And I'm going to tune in tonight because it's pay-per-view. I've been watching the pay-per-views mostly. I haven't got time for the other ones. Not that I don't have to. I work on Mondays. And does SmackDown still come on Fridays?
Yeah, yeah, it does.
Okay, so I can tune in SmackDowns. I can't miss. I always will miss the Raws, but they reshow them or no Raw specifically on Netflix now, so I'll never see it. But yeah, the pay per views I'll be able to watch because I got Peacock. But yeah, we're signing off. Hope you all have a good evening, good night, good afternoon. We're gonna hit the outro. I'm gonna try to change up the intros and outros coming up in the next months just to keep it fresh. The intro I'm going to keep probably, but the outro I've been trying to find some new ones and setting up some stuff. So we got to figure it out. All right, y'all. Y'all, if I don't see y'all, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.